Hello and welcome to this week's LCS recap, where we're going to cover the first round of the playoffs. In the LCS spring split, we have the teams here, the six that participated, and then the top performers in each role based on stats. So first we have Cloud9. They won 3-0 over 100 Thieves to start it off. Fudge was their strongest player relative to role in stats. We also had FlyQuest, who won over Team Liquid 3-2. Bwipo, their strongest player relative to role. Team Liquid 1-1 would go 5-3, losing to FlyQuest, then beating Dignitas. Impact was their best player. 100 Thieves 1-1 would go 3-5 after losing to C9, would beat NRG. Quid, by far their best player. It wasn't even close. NRG would go 0-1, losing to 100 Thieves 3-2. Contracts, their best player in Dignitas, were swept 3-0 by Team Liquid, and Tomo Isles was their strongest group relative to stats. So the three stats I used were KDA, KP, and then a stat I have created called return on investment. So with KDA, pretty self-explanatory. KDA kills in assists relative to the deaths a player has. When I do KDA, I count assists as half a kill instead of a full kill, which you will notice in many stats websites that they count assists equal to kills. I do not. KP, how involved were the players? Were they involved in the kills or not? And then to offset that, return on investment. That is a stat that I have, like I said, I've created, where we take the amount of damage a player has done to the opposing champions, as well as the damage taken as a player, and divide that by the gold they have received. So this should, in theory, be the start of what I'm going to continue to tinker with as a stat to figure out how efficient is a player. And I feel like the best players are the most efficient. They're getting gold. If they are a carry-oriented player and they get gold, they are dealing a lot of damage. If they're getting a lot of gold to be a tank, they're taking a lot of damage. And then there are players that do both, facilitator, playmakers, if you will, that will not only deal damage, but also eat and take damage and use their gold wisely. This will be fine-tuned over time. Maybe utilizing other stats instead of directly damage taken, and also maybe give players credit for healing and things like that if they are on a support. So in top lane, Impact and Bwipo led the way. Impact had a 2-3 KDA, 67 KP, and 4.23 damage plus damage taken divided by gold per minute. Bwipo 1.8, 64 KP, and 4.73 damage plus damage taken. So Bwipo, more efficient than Impact when it came to getting, utilizing his gold. However, Impact simply didn't die as much and was more involved. Jungle, Umpty, and Contract. So Umpty, 2.7 KDA, 73 KP, and 4.43 return on investment. Contracts died a lot more at 1.5, was slightly more involved at 76 KP, and got more done with the gold he had at 4.67. Mid lane, Quid, 3.6 KDA, 81 KP. So 4 out of every 5 kills, very involved, 2.99 return on investment. Jensen, 4.3, 76, and 2.85. So didn't die as much, not as involved, and not getting quite as much damage done as Quid. Bot lane. So bot lane gets kind of weird, right? So we have Senna bot lanes and things like that. So I combine the bot laners together in this current meta. Tomo and Isles, return on investment was excellent at 3.12. It was the highest in their role. However, KDA 0.9. KP is high, but that's because Dignitas only had 18 kills across 3 games at 83%. So there is an asterisk there. Yeon and Core JJ, 3 KDA, 78 KP, and 2.84 return on investment. Now, Cloud9, 3-0, no players on this board. It's not because they played poorly. They dominated, and when you dominate, you may not rack up the damage quite as much, and that is a part of the return on investment stat I'm trying to mess with in terms of how to, if teams are running up the score or, running it down, the return on investment stat is going to get boosted if a player's just eating damage for no reason, sorry, my knee kind of buckled on me there for a second. They might run up the score, or they may run it down, and that's going to screw with the stat. So I'm fine tuning that. Comment down below with your opinions on this past week in the LCS. Like the video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel for daily League of Legends content. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, become a YouTube supporter, and hope to see you again tomorrow.